think everything is possible.
My name is Svetlana, I'm from Ukraine and I'm full-time student here. Currently I'm studying here international politics and development. I saw advertising in social media and I was interested in this. I started to search more information about this university and I was surprised the quality of education. Searched some recommendation from, I hear some recommendation from students and it was positive. And I was interested in this and I'm not regret now, so I'm happy that my choice was exactly this university.
I really wanted to study Korean language and I saw that Lithuania University has it, so I thought, okay, that's my university, I'm going there.
Lithuania, I don't know, I like weather in general and with Ukraine it's like some similar culture. In Kaunas, I like that it's quiet city and it's really comfortable for me. And walking with friends or something like this weather. And about university, I like here that I have opportunity to participate in some interesting conference with some representatives from international organizations. I think that it's a good opportunity for students who study here international politics and in general who are interested in this. I think that it will be helpful for students who want to study in Europe. First of all, check the recommendation from other students who already studied in Europe. This will be helpful. Image of university, I mean the rank, what you search, it's not so much important. Maybe for someone really it's important, but I think that you should check more information inside the university by yourself, not only the rank, because it will be more broad information for you, and you can mention some interesting facts or I don't know, programs what you can't find in another university. So don't miss this opportunity to find by yourself.
My name is Jack Greenspan. I'm an associate professor here at Vytautas Magnus University, teaching in the public communications department.
And where are you originally from?
I'm originally from the United States, from Las Vegas.
And how long have you been here?
I've been in Lithuania for 7 years and away from America for 8.
And what do you teach here?
Whatever they tell me to teach. I teach, what do I teach? I teach various forms of writing, creative nonfiction, regular creative writing, screenwriting, script writing. And then I also teach things like media studies, like media issues, just finishing up a course on comic books right now. In the past, I've taught science fiction literature, I've taught history of film, pop culture, things like that.
How many classes do you have in one semester?
Depends. The most I've ever had is 6, the least I've ever had is 4. In the States, like I went to a community college in the States where the average was you had a dropout rate of 50% per class per semester. And so, yeah, you would have classes where you started off where the entire class was jam-packed, and by the end there was, 6 people. But attendance there is mandatory. Here, attendance is not mandatory, so it's not the same. You don't have as many people dropping, especially because you don't have as many options here. You can't just drop and go to a different class or pick it up another semester because those options aren't really there. So to say how many people show up, percentage-wise, I'd say usually I have about 60 to 70% of the class shows up on any particular for any particular lecture.
And how many people are that? Like how big is the class?
Again, it's like saying, you know, how much is a car? I've had classes that were upwards of 200 people. I've had classes that were 11 people. So that's why I went with the percentage, because it's kind of difficult to say, well, 8 people show up. Well, if the class is 200 people, that's really kind of crappy. But I have had classes that were, like I said, that were up to, I think the highest was 189 in one class. There was one semester several years ago where I figured out the math. I had over 500 students. I had 5% of the university population in my classes. So I was teaching 5% of the university population,
That's a lot.
which is pretty huge.
So would you say you're quite a popular teacher?
I wouldn't say that. I leave that for others to say.
The studies are going to be really interesting. Of course, you will have some subjects that you don't want to study, but I think all the subjects are like interesting in their own way. Actually, I have one memorable class. It was economics. I don't really exactly remember the teacher's name. I don't want to say it incorrectly, so better I won't mention it. But he was really good. Like, he knew his subject so well, and it was just like additional subject for one semester. But he knew it so well. He made so much jokes during the lectures that it was easier to know the lecture, to learn things. So I think that was the most memorable one. 50% are like the theoretical ones, and 50% also on practical and theoretical.
We should discover some historical places for our task and in one day present it for other students. It was really interesting because you have opportunity to discover some places as an international student and share this information in this language what you learn. I think it's really helpful.
I'm Kristina Juraitė. I'm teaching at the Department of Public Communications. My classes are media analysis, visual culture, also corporate communication. What else? Perhaps a couple of more classes like communication theory, etc. Also, I'm chair of the department, so I'm responsible for administrative issues, also mentoring questions, information for international and local students.
And how long have you been here so far?
That's a nice question because I've been at Vytautas Magnus University for quite some time, because when it was reopened and it was totally new, I heard about it on, I hope on the news. And I was still at school, and the idea that the university invites international teachers, some of them Lithuanians from abroad, was really a new thing, and I was moved by the programs here, by the new methods, a new approach to student, to the studies. So I came to Vytautas Magnus University as a student first, and I stayed, although I traveled while studying at Central European University for my master. Then I traveled when I was a PhD student, so I collected a lot of good heritage, good experience of Vytautas Magnus University, and I'm here to share with it, with the students, with my colleagues, and I think that's the most exciting thing to be in the culture of sharing.
I think teachers and professors are really good. They're really professional. They know their subject, and the the best part that they can speak in English. They can have the lectures in English, so it's also, I think, good for international students. And you're like communicating like a friend, not just, you know, a teacher that he's higher and so on, but for them it's important the students' opinion.
I tend to think I'm much more open, I'm much more supportive, and much more understanding of the student issues. Plus, a lot of teachers, and I've been teaching now in the university level since 2005, and you know, since the fall session of 2005. So I'm going on 13 years now as a university teacher. And one of the things that I notice is that a lot of the teachers don't like what they do. They're teaching the same thing semester after semester after semester, and they're just bored. And they don't want to put in the time or the energy to update the class or to change things around. And I don't do that. Even if I'm teaching the same thing, I try to come up with new ways to teach it just to make it more interesting for me. Because if I'm bored, then the students are going to be bored. If I'm interested, I like to think that the students are then going to be interested. And so for me, every semester I try to make it new and exciting as if it's the first time I'm teaching it. And so I think that translates into, if you want to call it popularity, but at least it translates into me being possibly a more interesting instructor than others, because I love what I do. I love sharing knowledge. I love that look in the student's eye when they finally get it. When you're like, so it's this, and finally, oh, and you're like, that's it. I can go home now, right? I'm done. And that's it. That for me, that's exciting. It's exciting. I had a student who went to after she took my film class. We have a whole lecture, a whole thing on animation, and she was in an animation museum and was walking around going, I know what this is, I know what this is, I know what this is. And she was like, it was all because of you. And I was like, that's cool. That's neat. And so in my own little way, that to me is what it's all about, is making the difference, is saying, this is the next generation. Let's show them that learning things can be exciting. Because if you look at the world today, the idea that intelligence and knowledge is something to be shunned is prevalent. Watch the news coming from any of the developed countries. And what you will see is people that spit on the idea of education. And I think that's abysmal. I think that's horrible. And so what I try to do is change that in my own little way. Doesn't mean I don't get frustrated, doesn't mean I don't understand how burnout happens, but I really love what I do.
University.
Vytautas Magnus University is a quite cozy community university where everyone is invited, everyone is appreciated, where student is a colleague of any teacher, and most students are appreciating this collaborative academic culture, open culture, liberal culture of Vytautas Magnus. Also, it is a very international university, being a local university with lots of international students and other international characters being flexible, being Artes Liberales University, focusing on international experience, on practical experience of students, and again encouraging students to move forward, to challenge themselves, to explore their ideas, to experiment with their own projects. I think this university makes us to always improve, always move forward, because it's like a laboratory for us who are inside.
Do you know how many international students there have been here this year?
You mean at the department? In the department? Quite a bunch of students, 200 students on the faculty level coming for exchange studies from very different countries. We crossed with them at the communication media classes, but also we have international students on the master's level on the program of journalism and media industries. They are 10 on the first year, and we expect more or the same number next year, because I think it makes our program more dynamic, more interesting, more exciting for both students who are studying and teachers who are working with the students.
Is the journalism and media master the newest one in this department?
I wouldn't say that this is a newest program. I would say that this program is the first program. We started communication and journalism studies here at the department at Vytautas Magnus University, and we started 20 years ago in 1998. So this is again a nice time to remember, to look back, but also to look forward. Where we stand and where we are going. So we are moving forward with this program. We are adapting to the changes, which are immense. They are global and local in terms of media changes, in terms of journalism changes. So this program has experienced a lot of updates, again taking into account what is happening on the technological, on the social, cultural, economic and political levels.
And what is your favorite spot in the university?
To be frank, now the fourth floor, the terrace is amazing, and I wish I had more time to just go out, sit down and think it over about different stuff. Yeah, I really enjoy this place. I think this is a spectacular spot for anyone from the city, from the university, just to come and see the amazing panorama of the central part of Kaunas, Žaliakalnis Hill, historical part of the city. So I'm happy. I'm happy with this place. We are located. I think students also appreciate possibility to work in the library. I think the library is amazing. I wish I had more time to go downstairs to sit to work there. but my most time is spent in my office, also in the classes with the students, and I think we really have nice facilities, nice spaces fit for creative and research and for studies. Also, I enjoy Media Lab a lot, and I enjoy the creativity developing there. I am driven by the energy of teachers like Christianas, or students who are working with each other, for instance, on a radio project. Also those who are working on video projects with Christianas, and Laisvės Karvelis, who joined us recently, but is doing amazing stuff with students. Students loved being part of creative projects this year so much that they are continuing, and they are thinking to continue their documentaries in the future. And I think that's the most exciting thing, that university is not only declaring that this is Artes Liberales university, but is providing with the chances, opportunities for students to explore themselves, explore their ideas, their dreams, their talents.
What is the best place in Kaunas to go for coffee or donuts?
Ah, that's a nice question. And I have a answer. My answer will be out of tune here. You know why? Because I will suggest you to go to the first cafe in Kaunas, which was opened in, I don't recall exactly, end of 1980s, and it was the first place for ice cream. You know, this McDonald's type ice cream you can get from the machine, automatic machine. And yeah, I was a kid that time, and I really think this cafe is an incredible place even nowadays, with a beautiful location next to the Ąžuolynas Park, next to the monument for Darius and Girėnas, our prominent pilots who flew through the Atlantic Ocean in 1932. So this is an incredible place, nice place with beautiful pictures of historic Kaunas inside. But you can stay outside, you can bring your dog with you, and they will bring you your dog water while you will be having coffee and something else.
I don't know, I would just say that they should know about the weather changes.
I think you should know that in Lithuania it's rainy weather, and you should have umbrella for sure. Especially if you're a student from warm country, you should have some warm clothes for winter time, because winter here is cold.
And that is that.